Inside the ranks of the 18th Street Gang, power doesn't always look the way you expect. Sometimes it moves quietly until it doesn't. In one disturbing case, a woman tied to the gang turned a moment of disrespect into something far more extreme. It wasn't just the violence that caught attention, it was how calculated it felt. Like every move had a purpose. And as details started to surface, people began to realize this wasn't just about one incident, it was about the kind of authority she really held. But before we get into that, let's go back to where it all started. Now here's the thing, 18th Street didn't start as its own force, not even close. In the beginning, it was just a piece of something bigger, a branch, a section. They were part of a much older, established gang known as Westside Clanton 14th Street. Inside that structure, what would later become 18th Street was referred to as the First Hood. There was also an Eastside Clanton, but that side had already been disrupted years earlier when freeway construction in the 1950s tore through neighborhoods and split entire communities in half. Families got separated, blocks got cut off, and that kind of division didn't just disappear. It stayed in the culture, in the streets, in the way things moved. So before 18th Street even had a name of its own, the environment it came from was already fractured. Now, as Clanton continued to grow, expanding its reach across different parts of Los Angeles, something started to shift among the younger members posted up around 18th Street and Arapahoe. It wasn't loud, it wasn't some big announcement, it was subtle, but it was there. They didn't just want to be another subsection under someone else's name anymore. They wanted something that belonged to them, so they started calling themselves Clanton 18th Street. And that right there is where things started getting complicated, because breaking away from an established gang, that's never clean. On one side, you've got older members looking at it like it weakens everything, like it splits loyalty, creates internal tension, and opens the door for conflict within the same neighborhood. If something pops off, now people are forced to choose sides. But on the other side, there's a different perspective. More groups can mean more territory, more members, more presence. From the outside looking in, it can even make the overall network look bigger than it really is. Still, not everyone was on board. There are always rules in this world. Most of them aren't written down, but everybody understands them. And in this case, Clanton leadership wasn't feeling this move at all. One of the biggest issues came down to leadership. The emerging 18th Street clique was being led by Rocky Lee Glover, and he wasn't Mexican American. Now that might not sound like a major issue on the surface, but inside that environment at that time, it mattered. Clanton had long-standing expectations about identity and membership, and this situation challenged that. So now the tension wasn't just about territory anymore, it was about identity. And the younger members, they were stuck right in the middle of it. Do you stay loyal to the original structure, follow the rules that have been in place, and remain under Clanton 14? Or do you step away, take that risk, and build something new, something that doesn't follow those same boundaries? Some stayed. Loyalty runs deep like that. But Rocky Glover and a small group of teenagers made their choice. They walked away. That's how Barrio 18th Street was born. At first it was small, just a handful of people trying to establish something independent. But what made 18th Street stand out early on was how they approached growth. They didn't stick to the old restrictions around race and background. They opened the doors, different nationalities, different backgrounds. It didn't matter in the same way it had before. That shift made them one of the first widely recognized multiracial street gangs in Los Angeles. Early membership still leaned heavily Latino, especially tied to immigrant communities, but the foundation had already been set for something broader. And then the 1980s hit, and everything changed. Los Angeles saw a major wave of immigration from Central America and Mexico. A lot of those new arrivals settled into neighborhoods like Pico Union and Westlake. These were already densely populated areas, dealing with poverty, overcrowding, and limited opportunities. And instead of finding stability right away, many of these newcomers ran into hostility. Established gangs didn't always welcome them. In some cases, they targeted them. So for a lot of these young people, joining 18th Street wasn't about chasing crime or status at first. It was about survival. It was about protection. It was about finding somewhere to belong in an environment that could feel hostile from every direction. And once that door opened, the numbers started growing fast. What began as a small breakaway group turned into something much bigger. Over time, 18th Street expanded beyond its original territory. They moved into different parts of Los Angeles, including areas that already had strong gang presence. In some cases, they were able to establish themselves without immediate violent conflict, especially where there were gaps in control or opportunities to move in quietly. But getting in, that part was never easy. You didn't just walk into something like this, you had to earn it. One common initiation method was the jump in, a beating that lasted a set number of seconds. Another path involved being told to commit a crime to prove loyalty. Either way, the message was the same. You had to show commitment. And the way recruitment happened, it was calculated. Accounts from former members and law enforcement over the years have described patterns where recruiters focused on younger individuals, sometimes as young as middle school age. The approach could shift depending on the situation. The first interaction might be aggressive, intimidating, enough to leave an impression. Then the next time, completely different, friendly, protective, like they're the only ones looking out for you. That switch can be powerful. Once that guard drops, the pitch begins. Respect, protection, identity. The lifestyle gets framed in a way that feels bigger than reality. What doesn't get mentioned? The long-term consequences. That part usually comes later, after someone is already involved. And by then, it's not easy to step away. Recruitment often skewed young, teenagers bringing in even younger kids. And once someone was fully in, many described it as a lifelong commitment. That level of loyalty, combined with early recruitment, created a cycle that kept repeating. While the majority of members were male, women were also part of the structure. Their paths into the gang varied. Some went through similar initiation processes, while others entered through relationships and gradually became involved. Over time, some took on active roles within their sections. At the top of the structure, you had individuals often referred to as veteranos. These were long-time members with experience and influence. They weren't always the ones visible on the streets. Instead, they operated more behind the scenes, coordinating, advising, managing conflicts, and maintaining connections. They focused on long-term stability and in many cases played a role in bringing in younger members to keep things going. By the time 18th Street reached its peak influence, it had grown into one of the largest street gangs, not just in Los Angeles, but across the United States. Estimates of membership have varied over the years. Some reports have suggested tens of thousands of members nationwide, while others place smaller numbers within Los Angeles itself. The exact number has always been difficult to confirm, and that's because 18th Street isn't one tightly controlled group. It's a network. Different cliques operate in different neighborhoods. They share the same name and identity, but they function independently in many ways. That decentralized structure is part of what allowed it to spread so widely. Their presence has stretched across Los Angeles, from the San Fernando Valley down through central areas and into parts of South LA. And near downtown, several neighborhoods became key to their identity. Pico Union is widely recognized as one of their oldest strongholds. Westlake and MacArthur Park also became central over time. These areas have dealt with long-standing challenges: poverty, overcrowding, drug activity, And those conditions created an environment where gangs could establish a strong presence. MacArthur Park, in particular, has often been described as one of the more heavily impacted areas. From the outside, it can look like a normal, busy environment, but underneath, there are layers: control, influence, tension. And even as crime rates in Los Angeles have shifted over time, gangs like 18th Street have remained part of the equation in certain areas. Violence hasn't disappeared, it's changed. Compared to the large-scale gang conflicts of the late 1980s and early 1990s, things aren't as openly chaotic. But incidents still happen, and for the people living in these neighborhoods, that reality hasn't gone away. Drug markets, for example, aren't something you just shut down overnight. Authorities can crack down again and again, but in some areas, things keep running like nothing really changed. You'll hear about vendors getting extorted too, but it's not always as straightforward as it sounds. Sometimes the relationship between gangs and local businesses is complicated. Not exactly friendly, but not outright war either. More like an understanding, just enough to keep money flowing. And that same mindset shows up on a bigger scale. 18th Street didn't just bump heads with rivals like MS-13 Crazy Riders or the Wanderers. They actually sat down and divided up MacArthur Park. Everyone got a section. Everyone knew their limits. So when you look at it like that, the park isn't really just a park, it's territory. Different crews controlling different zones. And 18th Street, they had the entire north side on lock, which is why when law enforcement finally steps in with major operations, they're not just going after a few people. They're trying to dismantle something that's been quietly building for decades. By early 2026, federal authorities had already spent years building a case connected to 18th Street activity in Los Angeles. Investigations like this don't come together quickly. They take time, surveillance, informants, financial tracking, and coordination between agencies. The goal isn't just to arrest people, it's to understand how everything fits together. Then, in March 2026, that work turned into action. That morning, it wasn't quiet at all. The Post was right there with the FBI as they hit an apartment building in East LA. Doors getting knocked in, agents moving fast. This wasn't random. This was the end of a long, calculated play. For years, people had been calling this crew a super gang, and now it was finally being put to the test. And honestly, they've been weighing heavy on the city for a long time. When you hear names like MacArthur Park or Skid Row, those aren't just locations. They're key hubs in their operation, places where business never really stops, day or night. That's exactly why Operation Dead Horse even became a thing. Assistant U.S. Attorney Gina McCabe put it plainly, they weren't out here trying to scoop up random guys. The goal was simple: go straight for the top, cut the head off, and let the rest fall apart. It all started before the sun even thought about coming up. 5 a.m., dark parking lot out in Alhambra, barely any light, just shadows moving. More than a dozen federal agents pulled up quiet, linking up like it was go time. You could feel it in the air. This wasn't no regular sweep. They geared up right there. Tactical vests stamped with FBI, hands moving fast doing final checks. Sidearms, shotguns, automatics, everything getting looked over twice. Nobody talking crazy, just focused. Everybody knew what kind of day this was about to be. Once they locked in, they rolled out. 7 unmarked cars, no sirens, no noise, just a smooth pull-off heading straight for the target. When they reached that apartment complex, there was no hesitation. They hit it fast. Battering rams out, weapons ready. But here's the part people don't always think about. They came with empty boxes too, plastic bins. They weren't just chasing bodies, they were chasing evidence, paper trails, the kind of stuff that really breaks a whole operation down. After they cleared the place, you start seeing them come back out, arms full. Bins, paper bags, all packed heavy. That's when you know they found something worth taking. Tried to get some words from FBI field agent Eric Turner, but he wasn't giving up nothing. Kept it tight. Only thing he confirmed was the target had ties to 18th Street. That's it. Meanwhile, everybody they grabbed got shipped over to an LAPD command post set up in Elysian Park. That spot was looking like a whole operation hub on its own. Right outside, they had it fully set up. Trailers, tents, about 4 big units and 10 tents deep. This wasn't no quick in and out. This was processing on a serious level. Evidence piling up, suspects coming through steady, agents moving non-stop. You'd see them carrying bags full of cash, logging everything down, snapping mugshots of suspects still in cuffs under those tents. Laptops open, everything getting documented right there in real time, nobody slipping through cracks, and you could tell they felt good about how it went. McCabe kept it straight. They weren't aiming low. They wanted the hit, but it wasn't perfect. The main one, the one really calling shots, was still out there. Now, inside Hollenbeck Station, it was serious. About 50 officers packed in, LAPD, FBI, federal teams, all there for one thing, Operation Dead Horse. Detective Hugo Aon stood in front of them, veteran in the game, reading the room. Everybody locked in, eyes forward. He didn't have to say much. The weight of it already spoke loud. They were going straight at the top of 18th Street, and sitting at the top of that list, a woman, Keiko Gonzalez. But out there, nobody really calling her that. They know her as Moms, La Señora, La Reina, names that carry pressure. She's facing charges heavy enough to bury somebody, racketeering, murder, and according to LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, she wasn't just involved, she was running things, acting as the de facto leader of the whole operation. The California Post was right there watching it all unfold, getting a front row view into the mission to bring down the Queen, and she wasn't moving solo either. Police say she takes direction straight from her husband, Jorge Huero Caballo Gonzalez, big name, Mexican mafia boss, locked up in a California state prison doing serious time for allegedly running narcotics and racketeering plays. But prison didn't cut the line. Prosecutors say the two of them still operate as a bridge, linking 18th Street directly to the Sinaloa cartel. That connection? That's what keeps the supply flowing heavy. Not just LA, this stuff reaching New York and way beyond. And there was another name in the mix that morning, Edward Toro Escalante. Toro wasn't just some guy. He was the enforcer, the tax man, the one making sure everybody paid up. Dealers, shop owners, even homeless people. If you were in that area, you owed something, and Toro was the one collecting. Crazy part is, him and Gonzalez were living right next to each other. Same building, 2-story apartment spot in Boyle Heights, and the whole place owned by Gonzalez herself. Business and home all in one. So the plan had to be smart. No loud entry this time, no kicking doors. They decided to wait. Escalante usually steps out around 6:30 a.m. like clockwork. So instead of rushing in, they let him move, follow him out, then hit him with the clean traffic stop a few blocks away. Once he's locked up, they double back, sit tight again, wait for Moms to step out and run the same exact play. Ion made it clear, breaking in is risky. Too much can go wrong. But catching them in the open, that keeps surprise on their side. And more importantly, nobody gets the chance to run back inside and destroy evidence. Plus, Gonzalez wasn't easy. She stayed paranoid, had cameras set up all around the building, watching everything. Word is, she had the whole system feeding into a big 80-inch TV in her living room, monitoring every move. She was watching, but so were they. Then, like clockwork, it happens. Around 6:40 in the morning, right when the city's just starting to stretch and wake up, Escalante finally makes his move. He pulls out smooth in a BMW sedan, probably thinking it's just another regular day. What he doesn't see is Ion already in position, sitting low in a pickup truck parked up in a nearby post office lot, watching everything. Soon as that engine turns over, you can feel the shift. Ion even says it straight, any cop worth his salt lives for this kind of moment. That rush kicks in, and now it's go time. It doesn't take long. Within minutes, the team slides in, lights him up, and it's over just like that. Escalante gets pulled out and put in cuffs. And yeah, dude lives up to the name, the Bull. Big frame, head covered in tattoos, built like he could walk through walls. But in the end, all that size don't mean much when it's time to sit in the back of a squad car. With Toro locked in, Aeon circles back to the same post office spot. Now it's just a waiting game again. Next target, moms. Time starts dragging. You can tell Aeon's getting impatient, running scenarios in his head. He even throws out the idea, if she doesn't come out, they might have to bait her, tell her something's wrong with her storage just to force a move. But they don't have to go that route. Not long after, the radio cracks alive. Officers spot movement. Gonzalez steps out onto her balcony, just smoking, probably thinking she's got everything under control. A few minutes pass, she heads back inside, then comes out again, this time with her purse and keys. That's the moment. She gets into a gray Lexus, pulls off, and just like that, it's in motion. Unmarked units already on her, keeping distance, staying invisible. About half a mile from her place, it all tightens up. The stop happens clean, no chaos, no struggle, just precise. Cuffs go on, and Aeon can't even hide it. He's smiling. Everything lined up exactly how they planned it. With both targets secured, the team heads straight back to that Boyle Heights property. Now it's time to tear it apart. They clear the building first, grab 2 more people inside, then get to work digging. And it doesn't take long before they hit something heavy. Hidden in that property was a serious stash. Drugs, guns, cash, all sitting there. Just from that one morning alone, they pulled 10 pounds of fentanyl, 5 pounds of meth, and 6 firearms off the board. And that's not even everything. Along the way, investigators had already pulled more than 175 pounds of narcotics off the streets. Then came the raids, bringing in another $80,000 in cash. By the time everything wrapped up, Operation Dead Horse had led to 12 arrests, members and associates connected to 18th Street, including Gonzalez herself. But taking people off the streets was only part of it. The real test was what came next, the courtroom. Now, when Gonzalez walked into that courtroom, she wasn't trying to dress it up or play the part. She kept it simple. Blue shirt, black slides, chains tight around her waist. The kind of appearance that tells you right away this isn't your typical court day. And when they started reading the charges, she didn't flinch. No nerves, no hesitation. Just stood there steady and answered not guilty, like she'd already come to terms with whatever was about to happen next. Her court-appointed lawyer, Richard W. Rayner, jumped in quick, trying to flip the narrative. He painted her like someone who barely brushed the law before this, said her record was clean, nothing serious, just a couple traffic tickets from way back. Tried to make it seem like she wasn't really that important, like she was just caught up in something bigger than her. Basically telling the judge she wasn't the one making moves, just somebody in the mix. But Judge Alka Segar wasn't feeling none of that. She shut that bond request down fast. From where she was sitting, the story didn't match the evidence. Investigators had already hit a storage unit tied to Gonzalez, and what they found wasn't small time at all. Guns stacked up and even a police radio. That's not something you stumble into by accident. That's planning, that's position, that's power. And the prosecution, they pushed it even harder. Assistant U.S. Attorney Daniel Weiner didn't just call her a member, he put her right near the top, said she was basically the number 2 in the whole operation. Not somebody taking orders, but somebody giving them. The kind of person where, if she speaks, things move. Now here's where it gets deeper. According to the indictment, the 18th Street gang wasn't just running wild on its own. The real control was coming from behind bars, at least 3 Mexican mafia members locked up in federal prison, and another one sitting in a California state cell. One of them, labeled Co-Conspirator 1, was supposedly the main one pulling strings. Federal authorities finally put a name to that shadow, Jorge Gonzalez. Even locked down, they say he was still running things, coordinating drug deals and gang activity through contraband phones like prison walls. Didn't mean nothing. You look at his past and it starts making sense why his name carries weight. He's been locked up since 1980, serving 15 to life for a murder he caught at just 23. Then, in 1983, he stacked another conviction after killing a fellow inmate at Folsom. By 1990, he was moved to Pelican Bay's Security Housing Unit, one of the most locked down spots in the state, where he spent about 25 years in solitary. Now he's at High Desert State Prison, but according to the indictment, none of that stopped him from running the 18th Street gang through people on the outside, including his own wife. What's wild is, even with all that, he's not officially charged in this case yet. A spokesperson made it clear they're not saying if that's coming next or not. Now back to Gonzalez, because she's right in the middle of all this. According to the indictment, from July 2020 to March 2026, she wasn't just around, she stepped into that second-in-command role. The real boss might have been behind bars, but on the streets, she was the one making it happen. She was the street boss. That meant she handled discipline, checking members, calling hits when needed. She handled the money, collecting taxes, fines, making sure everybody paid what they owed. And she handled operations, drug movement, violence, settling disputes so the whole thing didn't fall apart. This wasn't just muscle, this was structure. And the money, that was a big part of it. Prosecutors say Gonzalez and Escalante were major suppliers, moving meth and other drugs through the gang's network. Then you got Martinez running casitas, low-key spots where gambling and drug dealing stayed active without drawing too much attention. Even though their reach stretched into Hollywood and the San Fernando Valley, the core of everything, the heartbeat of it, sat right in MacArthur Park. According to the indictment, Gonzalez, Carrillo, Beltran, and De Los Angeles weren't just part of the crew. They were the enforcers, the ones making sure nobody stepped out of line. And one case really shows how serious that role was. Around July 2022, Gonzalez allegedly ordered a hit on a drug dealer known as MZ. The reason? She didn't pay her taxes, basically skipped out on money owed for moving product in their territory. What happened next was brutal. Under Gonzalez's orders, Carrillo and Beltran carried it out. They didn't just shoot him in the head, they shot him in the leg too, then beat him repeatedly with a brick. It wasn't just violence, it was a message, loud and clear for anybody thinking about doing the same. Now the stakes, they don't get much higher than this. Carrillo and Beltran. If they're convicted, they're looking at mandatory life sentences. Gonzalez, as the one allegedly calling the shots, she's facing up to life in federal prison. Essentially, if the prosecution proves their case, none of them are walking free again.